Welcome to part two of this afternoon's conference program. We still have a virtual car wash tour of Sonic Delta and Downers Grove USA lined up for you, and interviews with Bushra Ashotzi of Washville and Laurens Metternich of Spectro, and a panel discussion with the chairman of a few Western European branch organizations. First up is Ryan Essenburg. He is President and Chief Innovation Officer at Tommy's Car Wash Systems, located in the States. Welcome on our screens, Ryan.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So Ryan will be giving a presentation on the current trends in the industry and how to connect with younger customers, the millennials. After his presentations, we'll have some time for questions. So Ryan, if you're ready, we're ready.
Great. Thank you so much. My name's Ryan Essenburg. I'm a third-generation car washer based in Holland, Michigan, USA. President of Tommy Car Wash Systems, a global equipment manufacturer, and founder of Tommy's Express Car Wash, today a 66-location franchise brand in the United States. And today I'm going to share with you some exciting and important trends and some breakthroughs in the car wash industry. We just finished our busiest month ever in February at one of our locations. We washed 63,000 cars in a single tunnel, 40-meter long system in just the month of February alone. So I'll be sharing with you some of those processes and what we've done to accomplish that today. So you can go to the next slide, please. Start with a kind of a high-level overview of the industry today. The way we see it, we believe the car wash industry is one of the best business opportunities today and has been really further amplified by COVID, it seems. So today, our company is really an app-based business that has brick and mortar assets combined with a reoccurring revenue business model. And we believe you can't really say that about many businesses today. And so COVID accelerated the business. We think, people's desire to be clean, more often awareness of cleanliness. We did a Wipe Your Wheel campaign where we educated the world on dangers of bacteria on your steering wheel and required washing it more frequently. We also learned that our business is really essential and at least in most jurisdictions due to being in the cleaning business, as well as really amplified by these semi-autonomous vehicles, something we didn't initially think about, but has become a reality of these safety sensors and maintaining the cleanliness of those and become a legal obligation in some jurisdictions. So we now realize as well the equipment manufacturers are working to solve that, but there will be the day of unfortunate car accidents caused by a malfunction of safety sensors due to dirty vehicles. And therefore, the outcome, we believe that our industry has longevity and is certainly an important industry ongoing. We saw some washes breaking records in the middle of COVID. It was fascinating. And as well as people getting out of their house for something to do during stay-at-home orders, they seem to continue washing their cars. So, we look ahead to a sustainable industry, no disruption in sight. We believe also, as mentioned earlier, increased frequency in the world of ride sharing, as well as we like to call ourselves Amazon proof. So that's a little bit about, the high level of the industry. You can go to the next slide. Starting on a couple trends, at least in the United States, some of these big box stores that have closed over the years, clothing stores, electronic stores, we're starting to see some of those converted into express car washes. And, sometimes they're in retail centers, sometimes they're in a little dated retail centers. Is one of the issues with this concept. And they're really getting four walls and a roof relatively cheap by buying up these old big boxes. Most people I've ever talked to that have renovated something usually come back and say, I should have just torn it down and started over. So I don't put a whole lot of weight in this category of being a real viable future option, but it is a trend that's happening in the US. You can go to the next slide. And as well as to accomplish interior vacuum centers, which has really started, I believe, in Europe and has kind of started to come over to the US and using these big box conversions to accomplish indoor vacuum centers. So again, I don't put a whole lot of weight in it because you have a car wash at the end of the day that's not really designed or laid out exactly optimal, but it is a way to get four walls and a roof relatively cheap. So you can go to the next slide. Another trend we're seeing in the United States, historically car washes were always pay vacuum. Then I believe also the Europeans started in the trend of free vacuuming and really went widespread around the world to become a labor reduction tool and allows today express washes to operate with limited labor. But now, reflecting on that, we're seeing, express car washes using 50% of their land requirement for a free service. overflowing trashes, high energy consumption. There's limited full service washes left in the United States that the expresses are trying to compete with. So many of these new washes have opened up with pay vacuums with no regrets really, and particularly I'll describe it as a free vacuum for club members only. So it's not necessarily pay vacuum, but free vacuum for club members, pay vacuum for everybody else. So I believe this will be a new industry trend, and proves a lot of things at the car wash. So here's a couple pictures of washes in the U.S. that have done that. So you can go to the next slide. A new innovation. Really, that as we just heard earlier, was the license plate recognition and app technology. This is something we've really helped to pioneer here at Tommy's and development and pushing this forward, where we can manage our club members through an app interface, and well as reading license plates to identify the vehicle. We've propelled that technology forward, and today I'd call RFID essentially a dead technology. We far exceeded the accuracy and read rates today and the guest experience with the user interface, and therefore actually we've also at our washes completely eliminated auto tellers, and we see that as well as kind of a dead technology, because no longer do we need to spend $100,000 on a point of sale systems. Your cell phone is your point of sale system. So today we have another concept on the right. You see that we're doing, as we call, I like to call it the Marriott Rewards Accepted Here program, and this is where we do crossover and network washing. So our Wash Club app there is a platform that anybody can join and use as an LPR technology, and then we can integrate sites as we wish as well that way. So next slide, please. A trend that was just talked about on the Car Wash Magazine Live last week, if you missed it, is a client of ours that owns a Tommy building and equipment package in Colorado, and he talked about cashless washing. So, completely cashless. And his story was that 10% of people were still using cash at the cashier window. When COVID hit, he took a bold move to just shut down cash entirely. The benefits he outlined were safety, deposits with the cashiers, and shift counting of money. He got very little resistance about it. He said, I think 2 out of 1,000 people kind of pushed back and usually had a credit card anyway. And if somebody truly didn't have a method of payment, they would wash the car free, advise them about it so they'd come back next time. So far as no regrets and a truly touchless option with no cash. You can go to the next slide. Thank you. The next slide is consolidation in the industry is happening. As we've all heard, some of these acquisitions and mergers and the mid-sized chains getting bigger. This is a mid-sized town in the United States with around 600,000 people. In the last 5 years or so, this city has changed from having roughly about 30 small independently owned car washes to now having 15 Mr. Car Washes and 5 Tommy's Express car washes. With 5 more Tommy's Express in the works and 1 more Mr. in development, replacing virtually all the independently owned locations with the 2 largest chains, washing more cars, doing it and coexisting nicely. So it's a fascinating transformation just in the last 5 years. And this is what we believe every city will likely look like as a natural transition of any industry. And certainly the challenge today would be being a independent mom and pop shop style car wash caught in the middle of this transition as it's happening. So next slide, please. The next trend, as we've heard a lot about this week, is belt conveyors. We put our first belt conveyor in 2001. We also helped pioneer this technology in the early days, and 2006 became a standard offering for us. So we have a lot of years on it now, and we are putting belts out all over the world today. And nearly all new car washes going in have a belt conveyor system. And that really has changed the environment of the retail experience in the U.S., where chain and rollers not only obsolete as a car wash product, but in the consumer's eyes, they see these car washes as different. And, new investors today coming in look at it and say, well, that's one of those old obsolete car washes. And they don't say that. They say that because they're consumers themselves, their spouses are saying that. And so those are not my words. I know that's a harsh field, but it has obsoleted a lot of these car washes in the consumer's eyes. So you can go to the next slide and kind of piggybacking on that, the next trend we're seeing is these conversions, of course. So this is one of our corporate-owned stores where we had a chain and roller conveyor, and we saw the need as about a 30-year-old location, and we converted it to a belt. We had numbers to show that we think roughly 100,000 cars a year were driving past this facility to go to our other location in town that had a belt conveyor. So we bit the bullet, and several $100,000 conversion at the end of the day. We did a lot of things in addition to that. 45 days or so downtime. Well, we did the renovation. It could be done shorter than that. But that's an overhaul of the facility, and shortly after it had its record month ever because we're able to process more cars with the Tommy Transporter belt conveyor there. In addition, the belts allowed for in-bay conversions, this concept of taking these low processing rollover and in-bay automatics that maybe wash 8 cars an hour, and we can, in the same space today, using the belt technology, get them up to 50 cars an hour. We've done about 50 of these now around the United States with oil companies that are converting these in-bays into short, high processing tunnels. Another popular trend. You can go to the next slide, please. This is a picture of what I'm trying to classify as a new era of car washing. I call upscale car washes. And this is a new site that's getting ready to open in Chicago. And, really trying to define what is an upscale car wash in this category. I'd try to list a criteria of maybe processing ability of 2,000 cars per day minimum. Usually a facility that's upscale larger has self-sufficient on-staff maintenance and wash technicians. By being a bigger business, they don't need to outsource those types of things. They can keep them in-house and manage their equipment themselves. A facility that's upscale and attracts attention to a higher demand. I think a typical price point of an investment of an upscale express car wash today is pretty commonly in the $6 to $9 million investment range for some of these new washes being built. The one shown here is certainly far in excess of that, maybe in the Taj Mahal category, but it's a gas wash C-store, probably well over the 20 million. And then some in opening in Chicago. So we're seeing this new trend of upscale express car washes. You can go to the next slide, please. And the next trend here, I talked about many years ago, but the theory of critical density, and it's been a secret to our success of really densely building out a market. This is a concept of really, building closer to yourself and on top of yourself, almost closer than most people feel comfortable. And we believe the stores contribute to each other rather than compete with each other. So this is actually our hometown, and we have 4 locations shown here in red, all land within 5 kilometers of each other. They're very tight together, and we're building a few new proposed locations we're working on in different parts of the city. And the point I want to show here is McDonald's, in comparison, here has 6 locations. When we're done with our development of our hometown, which is around 120,000 people, when it's all said and done, we have 6 locations planned. We'll have the same amount of locations as McDonald's does with our car washes. So. And another trend in this is that we're going into smaller towns as well than ever before. So we're building in towns of 20,000 people. We're building full-size Tommy's Express car washes. And if we get even into the 10,000 population, we have a few projects today that are what we call our mini model, or 90-foot long mini Tommy's Express models. So next slide, please. And the next trend here I'll talk about is franchising, something that we've helped to push forward and pioneer in the car wash industry, but certainly not uncommon to the rest of the world. Franchises are popping up in the U.S. and internationally, and that's because franchises are the standard of retail business, and they are the standard because they work. So just a couple of the benefits of franchises listed here, proven processes, not reinventing the wheel. First-class training that comes with experience, ongoing consulting, so you're always working together to grow the business. World-class marketing, not mom-and-pop shop marketing. Centralized service is a big one most people don't think about, but we have a call center here where we take any credit card changes, any customer support. Things are centralized. They're not handled at the site level, as well as all social media management is centralized today. Responses to posts, it becomes time consuming, but we can add value as a franchisor in that category. The club members have a great added value by being a network. It's truly putting operators to work together as a team is what franchising is all about. You get economies of scale, so there's cost savings on things like soaps and parts. And of course, we get proprietary technology faster because we've got essentially built-in users of a certain technology, so we can spend more on R&D and execute those faster. And due to these factors, we have now consistently achieved over $2 million US dollars in annual revenue per location for our express car washes, with our top stores over 4 million in annual revenue in US dollars using these tactics. So next slide, please. And with that, we're seeing conversions now. So this is a chart of some month-by-month revenues. 1 year before was as a non-franchise brand and then converted to a private brand. And you see the month over month, the trend lines, the gray being non-franchise and the red line being the trend line after franchising. And last month, a total of 88% increase in revenue prior to post after converting. So you see proof has been delivered there in what these tactics can produce. So next slide, please. And kind of wrap up with millennial culture. I spoke years ago at the car wash show to raise awareness about millennials. Myself as a early generation leader of the millennials, and I believe kind of let you in on a few thought processes we have. And I guess most importantly, if you're not catering to millennials today, we're your largest customer base, and if you're not catering, you're missing out. So, as summed up in a statement, make it easy and don't hassle me. Is probably the best way to describe what we're looking for. Our time is valuable. We're busy and we don't want to be inconvenienced. So that's something to think about and how you can cater to my generation. So next slide, please. And that kind of wraps everything up. So you can follow me on social media at Ryan Essenburg, and I'm happy to take any questions that you have.
Well, we actually do have some viewers' questions. I'm going to leave those with Niels.
Well, first of all, Ryan, thank you. Express car washing is something upcoming in the United States. You talked about it. But for the viewers in Europe, can you please explain a little bit more what express washing is?
Sure. Yeah. Sorry. So, express washing is typically defined by, a conveyorized tunnel car wash and where a customer stays in the car. So we're talking about very high processing speeds here. The customer never stops moving from the point they pull in, the gate opens, they go through usually without even stopping today with the license plate recognition technology. They come around the turn, they stay inside their car. They load themselves on the conveyor system, which has been much improved by the belt technology. Yeah. Sometimes there's a person there loading. Sometimes there's no person there, but there's people on site. Usually we staff 3 to 4 people working at any given time at one of these locations. The customer rides the conveyor through the car wash, and because we have that process like an assembly line, we can wash cars much faster because we're washing 5 or 6 cars at a time. Unlike an in-bay automatic where we got to stop and wait and go around. Today, the tunnel's an assembly line, the machinery is doing the work, and we've done over 220 cars per hour. In fact, we can today wash 220 cars per hour consistently and fully automated. So we'll do 8 hours, back to back in excess of 200 cars an hour for sure on a busy day with no human intervention, except for maybe loading the car on those busy days. The customer stays in, they come out, and majority of them leave. If they want to, they can also go into a vacuum center today, free vacuum being the standard. They can do some interior cleaning if they want to at that point. But an express car wash, low labor, high processing, high automation, a little bit more expensive to get into because of the cost of the machinery and the larger scale of these facilities, but able to produce high volumes. So hope that answers the question.
Okay. It does. Thank you very much for your talk, Ryan. We're out of time. But if you have more questions for him, look them up on the platform, on their exhibitors.